Ana, I'm delighted to be here. Every year we meet. Last year you handed me that awesome report, The State of the World. And this year, this is a heavy report. 300,000 voices, I think. How many countries?
20 countries, 5 years. Think of it moving from state of the world to the state of humanity.
Oh my God. And you're covering basically 7 dimensions, right?
Yes.
How people work, how people learn, how people invest. What else is
How
there?
people feel, what they value, how we lead, how we use technology. So we're kind of looking across all dimensions, really, of how people have evolved in the last 5 years, and what does that mean for us, and what does that mean for people and businesses going forward?
Amazing. And what would you say was the most impressive of all these statistics for you, or a highlight? Maybe something that you expected qualitatively, but the numbers were wow. Is it so? Or something that surprised you and then you just didn't expect?
I mean, there were a lot of things that surprised me, but I think one of the things that I found really interesting is that, you know, when we started this, I expected there to be some things that will change us forever, right? When we look at generational cohorts coming back to the World War or something like that, you know, they were savers, right? They were things that permanently changed them, and we expected COVID to do the same. But I think for me, what was a big surprise is that progress continued on many metrics. When you look at metrics outside of this report, right? Quality of life seems to be better.
Yeah.
But when we actually see what we hear back from people is that, yes, progress continued, but resilience didn't. And so, you know, we see people working harder, we see people investing more, we see people tracking their health, you know, we see people focusing on their careers and finances, but they're all reporting lower physical and mental well-being, right? That's gone down 9% since 2021, which is astounding because you would think in 2021, coming out of COVID, we were at our low point. Well, we've gone down further since. And so to me, you know, the big surprise was just how consistently this showed up in geographies and also across income levels. Because we are talking a lot about K-shaped economy and K-shaped outcomes, and that's definitely in the report, but it is pretty consistent.
You know, in the investment part, obviously, that's more of my interest. There were things that really surprised me and I didn't expect. First of all, there was a statistics that really saddened me, which was all about, you know, people, low-income people, really not participating in these excessive returns that we've seen in the stock market, which is really...
And we've known that historically, right? They are less exposed and
but you
have less
would
ability.
think with
Well, they're using AI now.
Yeah, with all the technology that we've invested in Fintech and increased the accessibility and financial inclusion, that wouldn't be the case. Maybe there is hope now with AI.
Yes, and I think we are seeing that, right? So, you know, financial independence was one of the top things that people are striving for. So that's pretty important, right? People want to feel security in their life, right?
Yeah.
And then when you look specifically to investing, we have seen a big influence of social media in terms of actually getting generations, but especially Gen Z, to come and invest. Yeah. And also they're using AI increasingly, not just for health, but for investing and investment-based decisions, which has, you know, pros and cons in terms of...
Pros and cons.
Exactly.
I mean, I wasn't surprised that you found that increasingly people are using AI for investing, but you clearly show that they don't want AI to be autonomous. They don't want to give up that driver's seat, or they want to be involved. But what struck me is this emotional part that you're reporting, which is that they like talking, interacting, analyzing, researching with the AI because they feel more secure than financial advisors. That's striking to me.
And you see that emotional part really play out also in terms of how employees are relating to managers and how they're trusting managers and how they're trusting leaders. Because fundamentally, you know, as you saw, a huge percentage of employees would prefer now an AI manager to a human one, which means that there's something failing. You know, they're seeking that proximity, they're seeking that immediacy, they're seeking kind of the emotional understanding and tie-in. And I think, you know, it's something for leaders to take note. So I hope everybody is looking across 300,000 voices and reading it.
And you know, there's a big message for me, you know, across all these 7 dimensions that you've studied here. It's the interconnectedness.
Yeah.
Is this really what you want business leaders to start thinking about when they read this report, and not just focus on siloed results?
Well, a lot of people are focused on their business. They're focused on a particular silo, right? The speed of change means that you have to be hyper-focused, you know, on something to have impact, whatever it is that you do today. But the interconnectedness is real. And I think if we want to understand how humans have changed and what we need to pay attention to, we really should be reading this, because there's a lot more striving that we're seeing, less thriving. We're also the last generation to be working only with humans.
Yeah.
And that shift with AI is really well underway. And you know, there's a lot of talk around trust at Davos, and Edelman releases their trust index every year. And it's not that trust has disappeared. Trust has just migrated to people, right? Like you and me. So we're trusting, you know, moving away from institutions. But again, it goes back to, have I earned the right? Have I earned the proximity? Have I earned your trust, not through position, but by being closer to you and by emotionally connecting? And I think, that's a big void.
We're craving tribes, to be part
Correct.
of a tribe, to belong. And as you said, Edelman is showing that trust is declining for governments, for institutions, maybe for businesses now. And this research is showing something very important for anyone, all the leaders that are designing consumer products, services, because they have to understand this aspect, the emotional aspect, and how you earn and build trust.
Absolutely.
And especially in a world where technology is abundant, anybody can use technology in different ways. So the big question is, how do you build trust into your services and succeed in creating a society that is what we want?
Humans forward.
Human forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.